Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today. Also, a happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Laurel, and I'll be your host today. I'm very pleased to be joined by the ReportsNow Vice President of Customer Solutions, Alan Van Nice. Alan will be showing a live demonstration of the ReportsNow solution today. Before we get started, I want to review how you can participate in today's web event. We're looking at an example of the GoToWebinar attendee interface. The control panel is where you can interact with us. You should see something that looks like this on your computer desktop in the upper right corner. During the presentation, please feel free to send us questions using the questions panel. I see a lot of familiar names and companies on the webinar, so thanks again for joining us. If you haven't worked with Terillium before, we're a 12-time award-winning Oracle JDE Edwards partner. We help JDE Edwards customers with upgrades, managed services, and special projects. We're very pleased to host this event today to showcase the ReportsNow product. At Terillium, we're careful about recommending products, but ReportsNow is a product we've never hesitated to recommend to JDE Edwards customers. This is a partial list of Terillium customers who use ReportsNow. Over the years, we've consistently heard excellent feedback from our customers who use the ReportsNow product. Mainly because it's easy to use, it's easy to set up, it takes 20 minutes to install, it's easy to buy. There's a 30-day free trial for everyone, available for everyone on the webinar today. And it's, again, easy to use. End users can truly create their own reports. Because of this great customer feedback, Terillium is very happy to recommend ReportsNow. And with that, I'd like to introduce Alan Van Nice. Alan, welcome to the webinar. I'm going to go ahead and change to make you the main presenter.
Great. Okay. So Laurel, can you see my screen okay?
I can.
Okay, great. Okay. So welcome, like Laurel said, everybody, welcome and thank you for the time today. We really appreciate that. I'm going to begin. I'm going to throw up some contact information real quickly. I'll throw this back up at the end of the presentation. Steve May is the VP of Sales Operations at Terillium. I'm Alan Van Nice, the Vice President of Customer Solutions for ReportsNow. If you'd like to contact either of us, I'll put this slide back up at the end of the presentation. So today I'm going to do a quick company overview. I'm going to talk about some reporting challenges specific to the JDE space. I'm going to talk about kind of what I consider to be kind of a minor revolution happening in the BI landscape at the moment. And then I'm going to give a quick demo and product overview. So the company is ReportsNow. The software that I'm going to be showing off today is called DAS, Data Access Studio. We have been around since '03. We are in Denver. We're just right down the street from the JDE campus. In fact, I'm looking at the campus out my window right now. We have about 50,000 users using the software worldwide. We have about 30 partners reselling and supporting the software worldwide. Terillium is one of our largest partners, and they've got a great reputation with our customer base as well. We are an Oracle Gold partner ourselves, and we are 100% focused on JDE Edwards. However, there are not many tools that allow you to really effectively connect to the JDE database and connect to other databases at the same time. And I'm going to be showing that off today. So, reporting challenges in the BI landscape. So, JDE Edwards reporting has traditionally been very challenging. You've got 8,000 business views. You've got 5,000 physical tables. One of the new buzzwords in the industry right now is data discovery. If you don't give ordinary human beings an opportunity to find the data, they can't build a report. So we'll be talking about data discovery today. I'll be showing off how we do that. If you're using the native tool set in JDE Edwards, it's a nice tool. It gets the job done. It's just not fast, and it requires things like package builds. And if you're using something like SQL or other reporting tools that also allow you to do inserts, updates, or deletes, then you can also damage your data. With ReportsNow, we are a complete read-only solution. You can never touch any data or affect any data except in a read-only way. Localizations are becoming more and more important all the time. We're finding, many companies purchasing new companies, right? And they're all over the world. We have people logging in with different localizations, different language preferences, things of that nature. We are available in 14 languages today. If you need a language I don't have, it takes me about a week to put up a new one. When I think about localizations, I think about dates. JDE Edwards stores these dates in this really weird Julian format with a century tag in the front. If you're using a normal reporting tool, somebody's got to convert that from that weird, wacky Julian date to a normal Gregorian date. And if you're changing that to Gregorian from Julian, you've also got European formats, you've got US formats. When people log in, they expect to see their stuff in the correct format. Same with currencies. Some currencies are 4 digits across the world, some are 2. So we apply all those localizations at the time people log in. Additionally, we inherit any group and role security. If you're using a non-JDE specific tool, it doesn't even know what groups and roles are. So we inherit all that security and apply it at the time the login takes place. So those are just a few challenges in the JDE space. When we talk about BI as a whole, it's an entirely different animal, right? You've got data modeling and storage, you've got security and accessibility issues, you've got data extraction and mashup, you've got different delivery methods. There's many different tools to purchase and many different tools to learn as well. So when you talk about data modeling and storage, you've got things like modeling tools, and you've got schemas where you're trying to read the database. And then after you do all that, you're trying to throw that data into a data warehouse. Under security and accessibility, you've got user management, you've got security, which I've talked about a little bit already. Additionally, you've got folder management, you've got data masking if you need conditional security. Under extraction and mashup, ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. So DAS has always been a great tool for extraction and transforming. We've never really loaded data warehouses before. Now we do. There's also dashboard tools and scheduling tools, and many of the report providers today also supply content of some kind. We have content in the form of what we call templates. We've got 500 templates out of the box. They're just kind of pre-built content that just kind of work, when you install it. And then you've got 3 different delivery methods in BI. You've got real-time reporting. You've got, web-based reporting where you can put something in a browser, and you've got mobile ability. Gartner tells us that if you want all of this, it takes about a year. And after that year, only 20% of all the implementations actually work. So it's not a great success rate. I think most of the BI companies are paying attention to that. We, for example, when you purchase DAS, Data Access Studio, you get all of this that's not kind of covered up in charcoal out of the box. So we read your JDE schema, we allow you to have user management and security and folder management and data masking. We are an ETL tool. We are a dashboard tool. You do have scheduling built into it. You also have the ability to have 500 or so reports to begin with, and all of that is applied in a real-time way. So DAS has always been a real-time tool. The cool part of the whole thing, and Laurel mentioned this earlier, is that all of this can be done in 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes, we can get you installed and up and going, and we honor the security immediately. So when you decide you're ready for the next step and you want to go with True BI, we have a product now called MOBI. MOBI stands for Mobile Business Intelligence for the Enterprise. And it allows you to do data modeling and put that data into a data warehouse and then deliver that with 2 new delivery methods, both on the web in a browser and on the phone or any other mobile device that you've got. If you want to go with full stack BI, it takes 1 hour. So basically, in an hour and 20 minutes, you can have what traditionally takes 1 year. It's fast, it's easy to install, it's easy to learn, okay? So with us, we have a very low cost entry point. So, I mean, you can get into this thing for between $10,000 and $15,000. You can scale it as you need. We are not module based, we never will be. We're not trying to sell you JDE Edwards one more time, you already own that. It will work on any database, not just JDE. Self-service is real. I've got 50,000 users worldwide. I'd say 90% of them are not technical people. They use it every day. We have a no-risk, try before you buy purchasing policy. We install this for you, like I said, in 20 minutes. Then we give you free training, and we give you access to our ReportsNow Academy that's got 700 videos in it to help you get going. If you purchase the product at the entry point and you decide you want to add bursting and automation and the scheduler, you can do that very quickly. If you want to go with full stack BI after that point in time, you can do that. Like I said, it takes an hour to bolt it on. The cool thing is that all of your dashboard stuff that you want to do that would be pushed to the web or to a mobile device, all of that can be done just with DAS. So you can actually prototype all of your dashboards just with DAS. So if you want to purchase DAS only, prototype all your dashboards and things of that nature, and then decide to roll out full stack BI later, you can do that with this tool. It's very simple. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a live demo. The things I'm going to cover in the demo are going to be data discovery. You can't really build ad hoc reports without being able to find your data. We'll talk about that. I'm going to build several ad hoc reports. I'm going to also kind of show how to embed Excel. We'll talk about what embedding Excel means. We're going to combine JDE data with spreadsheet data into one report. I'm then going to take that combined data and build a dashboard out of it. I'm going to publish that dashboard to the web. I'm going to make it mobile ready at the same time. I'm going to show what that looks like inside of an E1 page. I'm going to show what that looks like using Cafe One. And then if I have time, I'm going to create a financial statement and possibly open up some Salesforce tables. So let's get going here. Laurel, if we have questions begin to pop, just let me know and we'll pause and we'll take questions. So
okay, well,
when you come in,
then if you want to take that now, or we can take it at the end.
Let's take it now.
Okay. Do you have any existing customers that use both JDE Edwards and Manhattan Associates PKMS?
I do not know. Who asked the question?
Let's see. I'll send it to you and we can get back to the person offline.
Well, I promise whoever asked the question, once I find out who you work for, I'll do some investigation into other companies that are like yours, and we'll see if we don't have that available. And again, Laurel, let's keep it, semi-open. If somebody asks a question, I want to answer it. So when you come into Data Access Studio, this is what it looks like. It's a very simple interface. You've got 4 icons here. You've got My Workspace, which takes you to your own workspace. I can create folders here. As I develop things, I can kind of drag and drop them and place them wherever I want to place them. The point is it's called My Workspace because it's yours, okay? The public workspace belongs to the entire company, and you will have folder managers that actually manage these folders and create these folders. When we as developers or designers publish content out to other people, we can also push that directly to a specific folder. If that person does not have access to this folder, the folder will not show up, okay? All right, so let's talk about data discovery. If you are new to JD Edwards, let's pretend we've hired somebody brand new, they know nothing about JDE, and we've told them to go build a vendor phone list or something like that, okay? And on that vendor phone list, we want something like a name, a tax ID, and a phone number, okay? And we tell them, look in the address book. So they know now to go to the address book, and they can type in address book like so, okay? And they can see very quickly, oh, there's a table out here called the address book master, okay? And I'm not going to do it yet, but if I were to open that table up, I'm going to find out very quickly there is no phone number on that table. There is a vendor number, there's a vendor name, but there is no phone number. So I'm going to remember FO101 right here. And I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to type in something like phone number, okay? And I'm going to find something called phone numbers here, FO115, okay? And if I open that table up, there's a vendor number on there, there's no name on there, there's no tax ID on there, there's just a vendor number and a phone number. So, and this is kind of ordinary, right? This happens all the time. In JD Edwards, this data lives all over the place. So I'm going to remember the FO115. So now I've got 2 tables, FO101, FO115, and then, as I mentioned, there's 8,000 pre-built joins that already join this data together for us. So here's this first one right here joins the FO101, the FO115, and this mystery table, the FO116. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that join. Before I do anything else, that thing had a 3rd table that I care nothing about. I'm going to call this Alan's list. I'll click OK here. And then I'm going to remove that 3rd table just because I don't want it. So I'm going to say delete that. It's gone. And so now when I go to columns here, you can see that when JD Edwards built this join for us, they included the columns that they wanted. They didn't read our minds and know that we also wanted the tax ID. So I'm going to go ahead and add the tax ID like so, and I'll maybe add the phone number type as well, and I'll click Save and Close. And then that quickly, I started out with a pre-built join. I dropped a table, I added a few columns, and I never had to do a package build. I didn't touch the JD Edwards database. All this is just kind of done here in this tool. And it's a great way for those of us that don't really know JD Edwards very well to find tables that have already been joined together for us, and it helps us learn, right? So it's a very quick and easy way to access data. I find that Google-like search to be very powerful. We live our lives, looking for doctors and dentists and restaurants, right there inside Google. It's nice to be able to pull up our own data the same way. Okay, so that's kind of the Google-like search. Where we're going today, you all, is we're going here. So this is the Moby portal I was talking about. These are a few of the different dashboards I have built. We're going to actually build this one live today. By the way, this little red line right here comes from a spreadsheet. It's not even part of JD Edwards, so it kind of just shows you combining data from JDE and a spreadsheet, which I think most of us would like to do. So let's talk about that. So let's talk about ad hoc reporting for a minute. So I'm going to use my Google-like search here, and I'm going to type in the word accounts pay. We all come from different backgrounds. I've got techies on the line. I've got finance people on the line. I've got operations people on the line. All of us pay bills. So I'm assuming that's a good place to begin. So at this point in time, I've got 2 buttons here. I've got a run button and I've got a get sample. If I press the run button, it does warn me that I'm about to run a really large report because I'm not filtering anything, I'm going to say, no, I don't want to do that. Instead, I'm going to grab some sample data. So now I have some data. It's a lot of data, though. You can see as I scroll to the right here, I don't want to make you guys dizzy, but every single column that's in that table kind of shows up. And if I can do this type of thing where you go through here horizontally and you try to select the things you want, to me, that's a pretty big pain to do all that. So I like going here to design columns. Everything is stacked nice and neatly for me. I'm going to hide everything, and now I'm going to select only the stuff I want. So I'm going to go document number, document type, address book number, and then if I don't want to scroll through all that, I can use wildcards and just type in something like star date, grab my dates. Same with like amounts, star AM, get my gross and my open. Okay, so now I have a query. It's not a report yet, but it's a beginning. Okay, now the first thing I'll notice here is that I have this address book number. It tells me I'm in the AP ledger right here, so I know these are vendors. Okay, maybe I don't like the name address book number and I want this to say vendor instead. So I'm going to back up here and I'm going to just replace that with the word vendor. So now I've got my vendor number. If I want the name, though, most of us don't work off of numbers. Most of us work off of names. So if I double click the vendor number, it brings in the name for me immediately, and then I can rename from number to name here, like so. Okay, so and it just knows. I mean, it's got JDE smarts built into it, so it knows that the vendor number is actually attached to this other table, and when I double click it, it goes to that other table and brings that description in for me. When it does that, it gives me a little calculation icon right up here in the label letting me know, hey, this is a calculation. It's not part of the raw data from the table that you have open. Same with UDC descriptions. If I double click here, it brings in the doc type description for me, and I now know that P1s are actually AP drafts. And sometimes I do that just to find out what things are quickly, and I'll remove it later. I can take my gross amount and my open amount. For those of you not familiar with this table, my gross amount was the amount that they billed us. The open amount is the amount that we've already paid. So if I take gross amount minus my open amount, that's really the amount that I owe, right? So if I go here to math, I'm just right-clicking here, you all. I'm right-clicking on the header. I'm hovering over all of my math functions that are available to me. Look at all the math that I can do from a right-click. So I'm gonna just click on difference here, and I have a new column, and I'm gonna rename this to be amount I owe, like so. Okay. Same with like date routines. If I want to do some semi-aging type things, I take my quick calculation, I hover over my date routines. A lot of date arithmetic you can do here. I'm going to do a date difference, and then I'll rename this to be, I don't know, let's call it aging. It's not exactly right, but it's close enough. So aging, okay? And then I can even drag up something like the invoice date and even my aging column here. And then I can say, let's select things only in 17. I'll take the entire year here. And then also, I'll say, show me stuff greater than 20 days old, and I'll hit run. Okay. And then that quickly, I have a report showing me stuff just from 2017 where I'm past 20 days old and the amount that I owe. Okay. Now, it's still a query. I've not subtotaled anything yet. Subtotaling traditionally with any other reporting tool can be a real pain. It takes some technical know-how to do these types of things. You have to get into level breaks and things of that nature. What I love about this tool is, remember, this vendor name was not even part of the raw data from this table. It doesn't matter to us. Just like you do in Excel, you're going to right-click and you're going to say group by this column, and now you're grouped. Okay, and that's all there is to it. If I want to group a second time, maybe by due date, I can group again, and now I've got multiple groupings. Okay, if I grab me some sample data here, you'll notice that it kind of explodes everything out. Maybe I don't like that explosion level. Maybe I want this to always look like, sorry you all, let me do this, set my grouping level. So that's what 0 looks like, that's what 1 looks like, that's what 2 looks like. If I stick it at 2 and I get sample data again, it sticks exactly where I want that to stick. You'll also notice that when it totaled, it took anything that was numeric here and it subtotaled it automatically. When it comes to aging, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to go down here and say summarize none, and it's gone. Okay. Also, a lot of times we may, right here I've got Geronimo General Supplies, and there's my total for all of Geronimo, but these are my due date totals right here. Maybe I don't want this total to show up. To remove a total, I right click on the total and I hit suppress, and it's gone. That's the type of thing that ordinary, we hear the term citizen developers now from Oracle. They're saying this all the time, right? There's nothing that says citizen developer like right clicking and saying unsuppress, and it's right back. I mean, that's as easy as it gets, you all. So I love the ad hoc ability of this tool. I love right clicking and getting my totals. I love highlighting a couple of columns, right clicking and picking the function type that I want. It just does so much for you. And I think when you talk about going from 0 to about 80% of everything you need, this does this so fast. Now, I don't care who you are and what tool you're using, that last 15% can sometimes be problematic, but getting, 80% of the job done can really give you a huge head start. And that's what I love about this product. Also, a lot of times, maybe you design a report like this and you forget a couple of data elements. Maybe you want to sort this thing by business unit name and then vendor name. To do that, you clear your grouping, you bounce back in here, you type in BU for business unit, you click the column, you double click it, you get the name, you click back on vendor name, and then you group again. And you're grouped and totaled automatically in a different way. If I were doing that in the native JDE tool set, it would have taken me a day to regroup that and retotal that probably. I mean, maybe half a day if I was faster, But then I've got to ask some CNC guy for a package build. And then, maybe the next day I get it, moved from PY to PD. But first I got to go from DV to PY, PY to PD. And it's just a pain. I love the fact that I can do all this immediately. Okay, so let's show some embed XL here, and then we'll talk about trends for a minute. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. So I'm going to regroup by my vendor name here, and then I'm going to show off some embed XL. So to embed XL, I right-click on any column, and I hit Present Data Automatic. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling Excel into our tool, and I'm marrying the two, okay? So I still have, my design surface right here. Now I'm kind of married up a little bit with Excel here. And then anything that I can do with Excel, I can do with ReportsNow. So I'm going to go ahead and put my logo up here. I'll stretch it out and make it a little bigger. It's not great looking, sorry y'all. And then if I don't like, by the way, we come out of the box with about 60 different styles. And I'm going to go ahead and apply my style to it. And hit apply. So this is a style that I've just been kind of playing around with a little bit here. If I don't like the color scheme here, I can pop into my style sheet and I can tell it I don't like this green. And the cool thing about this is I'm just using my ordinary Excel skills. You all already know Excel. It's not a new tool. So I'm just kind of using style sheets here that are right here inside of Excel. When I click back on sheet 1, it reruns and displays my new color choices, okay? When I'm all done with that, I can go to report look, and this is what it would look like, okay? So if I want to put this out in the universe now and publish this thing to other people, I can do this. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we'll call this Alan's example for Laurel. Hope I spelled your name right, Laurel. Okay, so here's my report. I've just saved it. Now I'm going to publish it to other people. So when I hit the publish button, it knows, for example, that I have an Excel presentation attached to it. I'm going to hit the Excel presentation. It asks me a couple of questions. Do you want to make it read-only? Yes. Do you want to make it to where Excel is the only thing that shows up? In other words, that data tab doesn't show up. Yeah, I want to show only the nice looking stuff I built. And then I also want to hide the Excel menus so that nobody can backdoor in and change the data, and that way I'm still compliant, okay? And I'm going to click OK. Now right here, when I click on the ellipsis button, every single user, every single group, every single role that I've got inside of JDE Edwards shows up automatically. I could publish this to all of AP if I wanted to. For right now, I'm going to stick with me. Now, I've dropped the data tab on this one. If I was going to include the data tab, I can also tell it I'm going to allow the user to change the data selection in the filter boxes in the QBE lines, or I can also allow the user to hide and show columns that are on the view. Okay, so I can give them a little, super user ability here if I want to. I'm not going to mess with that right now. I'm going to hit publish. And so now I'm kind of sharing this with other people. Now the cool thing is that I built this thing with Excel, but it's not being stored on my desktop. It's being stored in a database file inside of JDE Edwards, and it's actually backed up every night. And nobody can ever change the data, so you're completely compliant with this. So it gives you the advantage of using Excel, where you paint nice looking pictures like this. It also gives you the advantage of being able to run these reports real time, and you get it in a nice looking format. So that's complete end-to-end ad hoc reporting, where I'm opening data up, I'm bringing data in from other tables, I'm doing calculations, I'm applying some type of formatting to this, and then I'm publishing this thing out to other people. So that's complete end-to-end ad hoc reporting. And again, if you have questions, you all, while I'm going through this, just please go ahead and type in a question there, and Laurel will wake me up and I'll answer the question. So we've talked a little bit about ad hoc. I hope you can see how cool some of that stuff is. Let's talk about trends for a minute, and then we'll build a dashboard. So trends. I'm gonna pop into sales orders for a minute. Let's go with sales order detail here. Okay, there's my sales order detail table. I'm gonna go ahead and open that up. And again, when I come in here, I've got a whole lot of columns. So this time, instead of going in here and kind of whittling down the data elements that I want, I'm going to immediately go to my sold to number here, and I'm going to double click. And then what I just did was I brought in the customer name. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to rename this to be customer name. Okay. Now we have some technology that we call trending that is built into the tool. Okay. And it allows me to do trends. So let's just say hypothetically that in this case, I want to group by my customer name, but the only thing I want to see are my month columns, January through December, showing me how well we've done month to month. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hover over trending, and I'm going to go to month trend, and it asks me a question. For each customer name, show me month columns for, and in my case, I'm going to use order date. And then I want you to roll up the sum of, let's do gross amount, not gross amount. And let's go with quantity ordered. Okay, so I'm going to have, when I click OK here, I'm going to have 12 buckets showing me the number of orders by month. And if I run that thing, it's going to show me every single customer I've got and how we're doing month to month. And there I go. Okay. The thing I like about these trends is that they're really, if I kind of show you beneath the covers here, so if I go to design calculations, this is the programming language of DAS. So you can see this is an if statement right here. It's saying if the month is 12, put the quantity ordered into my new column, otherwise put a 0 in here. By doing that, and I have another calculation down here that just got the actual month. Okay, so these calculations, like I said, most of them are just right clicks, but there is a programming language in here as well that you can actually go in here and edit. And if you go down here to a blank and you click the ellipsis button, it shows you the 90+ calculations that we've got available to you. And it's the type of thing that you would see in any programming language. The difference is it's just fill in the blank. We try to make it as simple as possible. Now, a lot of times we'll want to put multiple trends onto one report. Okay, so I've already answered one question here, and that is, how am I doing month over month by customer? If I also want to ask a second question, like, what are my top 20 customers? I can do that. So I can go down here to trending one more time. I can rank my top 10, and I could turn that into top 100. In my case, I'm going to turn it into top 20. Based on the customer name, rolling up the sum of, again, I'm going to use quantity ordered here. If I could spell, quantity ordered, like so, and I'm going to click OK. And so now what I've done here is I've ranked my top 20 customers in descending order. And you can see that CSC Corporation is my top, and Central Distributors is number 20. Okay, and so, you know, these type of trends are the type of things that we all kind of do from an ad hoc perspective, you know, every day of our lives. And it's nice to have little wizards and things kind of built in here that kind of do all this for you. The problem I have with rows and columns in general is I've answered two questions on this report. Who are my top customers, and how are we doing month over month? If I want to answer a third question, or maybe a fourth question, third question being, how are we doing geographically? Or what are our top 10 items? Or what are our best branch plants? Or who are our best salespeople? I cannot answer all those questions on one report. I've got to have multiple reports to do that. And on top of that, when I look at this row and column format here, I really have to study these numbers. It takes a while to kind of just make sense of it. I mean, I can tell June was a big month. You know, I can look down here at my grand total and see that. But it really doesn't tell the story the way that something like this tells the story. I mean, when I look at this, I'm answering questions like, who are my best branch plants? How am I doing from a sales perspective month to month? I'm also adding forecasts on here with the red line to see how I'm doing, you know, based on my forecast amount. How am I doing from an item perspective? What are my top 10 items? How am I doing from a geographic perspective? And by the way, all of these things come with built-in drill downs. So if I want to click on Eastern Distribution Center here, that's how I'm doing in that one distribution center. If I want to double tap this thing and go into my sales reps, now I can see how my individual sales reps are doing inside of that one distribution center. So these dashboards give you a richer surface to work with, and they give you the ability to answer so many more questions on one screen, and I like that a lot. I also like the fact that they happen to be a lot easier to build than these things are. So let's do one of those live. Let's build that exact dashboard. So I know I've got some customers on this call as well. So if you've not upgraded to the latest release, the new release has a little dashboard icon up at the top here. When you click that dashboard icon, what happens here is kind of what I consider to be another kind of small leap in technology, and that is that in a true BI environment, you have a team of people that go and build the data model and put all this data into schemas inside of the data warehouse. The cool thing is if you're already a customer and you've been building reports inside of that Data Access Studio, all of those reports are now available to you as data sources. Not only the reports you built, which are the individual people here, that little icon, also the reports that were published to you are available as well. So I have a sales report that I wrote that I've called it Sales versus Forecast Mashup Allen's Local Version. I'm calling it my local version because in this particular report, I actually pulled in forecasts from a spreadsheet. And many of my customers use JDE Edwards extensively, but they still do their forecasting in spreadsheets. And they hand these spreadsheets out to individual sales reps, and these sales reps go in there and they update the spreadsheet. So this spreadsheet right here is what I'm using for my forecasts, and some salesperson's gone in here and they've kind of filled out how many they expect to sell for each customer for each item, right? So when I double click on this quantity forecasted here, this is actually the amount that I'm bringing in from that spreadsheet. So I'm telling it, I'm going to go get that spreadsheet. I'm going to use sheet 1. I'm going to match my data up on all of these matchable columns right here, and then I'm going to return the quantity forecasted right here. And when it comes back with my quantity forecasted. So if I'm looking here at this particular tile right here on this dashboard, I'll start with it. So you can see I've got my month-to-month actuals here, and then I've got my little red trend line here for my forecasts. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm gonna up here on my design surface for my dashboard, I'm gonna pick chart, and each of these dashboard widgets has a different data well right here. And you can see most of them will have either a series or an argument, and they'll have a value. Well, the value is the easiest thing to figure out, right? So I want to measure the quantity that was ordered. Those are my actuals right there. And then how do I want to slice that up? Well, I want to slice that up by order date. And by default, it comes in as year, and I don't care about year, I really care about month. So now I have my individual months, and I'm going to run this thing to get me more data. Let this thing run for a second. Okay, so it's bringing in the entire sales table now, and we'll give it a second for the data to refresh. Now, what you're going to notice here is that many of these month columns, in my particular case, are very tiny. And you can see here for June, for example, I've got 751 orders that were ordered, but I don't have any bars showing up because July is so much larger than June. And I'm going to have to scale that. I mean, I want something to show up. And I don't know what's going on with my machine today, you all, but it's not going fast. I'll give it a second here. Okay, so you can see I've got some data showing up here. I'm going to go to design, and I'm going to go to my y-axis, and I'm going to remove these grid lines here. So I'm going to say don't show the grid lines, and then I'm also going to remove this axis here as well. So I'm going to say don't show the axis, and then I'm going to also scale these things to be a scale of level of 2. Okay, 2 is more accurate than 10, obviously. So now this is nice. I've got nice looking bars here, and when I hover over them, they show me the amount that was ordered. But I'm going to show my point labels here, and click OK. And now you can see the actual amounts right over the top of my my bars. Now, I want to also put a line on here showing how we're doing from a forecast perspective. So from a forecast perspective, I'm going to go ahead and drag up my quantity forecasted. And sorry, y'all, let me look at my report here for a second. I got to rerun this thing. I think I've actually got a lock on that spreadsheet, and it's causing it to be a little slow. So we'll see what's happening here. While that's running, so I'm going to bring that forecast in. I'm going to make a line out of it. I'm going to also put point labels on that, and then I'll probably do the map next. So Laura, while this thing is running, are there any questions out there on anything I've talked about so far?
We haven't had any other questions come in yet. I have a question. You might be getting to it, but I had a question for you.
Go ahead.
What about, so if you had groups outside of JDE, maybe customers or vendors, is it possible to like share dashboards or certain sets of data with those groups with ReportsNow?
That's a very good question, and absolutely. So the cool thing about so DAS itself, where I just showed kind of how to publish that to an internal group. Moby itself, and you can see these are just kind of dashboards on a web page. When you log into Moby, this would be what you see when you log in. These don't have to be JDE Edwards users. These can be anybody in the world. So there's a portal for this where you actually get to key in your users, and you can import those users directly from like Active Directory and things of that nature too. But so you import your users right here, and then when you go to publish this content, you can publish that to any user, not just a JDE user. So I have customers, for example, a few trends I'm seeing right now in the marketplace is that a lot of people are trying to enable their sales forces to where they can have dashboards right there on a tablet when they're walking into a customer site. Most of these people are external people, and they don't even have access to JDE. So that type of application for your external salespeople is a great application. I've got other people asking me for, displays in the warehouse where it's kind of rotating all the time, showing inbound and outbound trucks. And the people in the warehouse don't always have access either to JDE Edwards. And then another thing that people are asking me for right now are like wall displays throughout the entire organization where you've got key performance indicators just kind of sitting there running on the wall. And again, I mean, a lot of your people in your offices do have access to JDE, but many of them don't. Was that your question, Laurel?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great to hear. We did have a couple other questions come in.
Okay.
One is, would this work to replace Spreadsheet Server by Global Software?
Yeah, so Spreadsheet Server, so Spreadsheet Server is really a spreadsheet tool. I mean, and when you buy Spreadsheet Server, you kind of buy it, you don't even really buy it by the module, you buy it by the table. So if you want to mash up your 911, you buy the GL. If you want to mash up AP or AR, you buy the AP and AR modules. It's really kind of a nice little query tool that works well with Excel over a few tables. DAS is so much different than that and so much more than that. So yes, it will replace Spreadsheet Server completely and do a lot more than Spreadsheet Server would do. You'll notice here, you all, I drug up that quantity forecasted. Remember, this comes from a spreadsheet, and it comes in by default as a bar. I'm going to change this to be a line now, just like that, and I'm also going to tell it that I want the point markers to show up. And really, that's kind of all there is to it. Now, you'll notice here that my example has more of the curved line here. Some people like bars. Some people like curved lines. If you want to turn that into more of a curved line, you choose the type of output that you want, and you have a curved line now. Okay, and I'm not going to get into what we like better from a aesthetic perspective, but you kind of get the idea. You can kind of do whatever you'd like to do. So at this point in time, I can kind of rename this tile, and I can say these are actuals versus forecasts, like so. Okay. If I want to add a map now, I go to my Choropleth map, and by default, it brings in the entire world. I don't have world data. I have USA data. So I'm going to change it to be USA. And then, again, the value that I want to measure is the quantity ordered, like so. And then the attribute here, you'll notice a little paperclip here. This is what they call a shapefile. It's expecting data. Now, I'm going to drag over my data, which is called state, and I'm going to click on the paperclip. And what this is telling me here is, hey, I'm the shapefile, and I can accept data in any of these formats. So you can actually have data that spells out the state name or any of these other formats. My data looks like this. So I'm going to use the 2-digit code, and I'm going to click OK, and now I have data on the map. Now, if I want to pop into design here and add some shape labels, again, I'm going to add the exact code, the postal code here. I'm going to include my summary values, and there I have the exact amount the exact number of orders that we're doing per state, and I'm going to call this one orders by state, like so. Okay. Now, if I go back to my key here, I had another one showing top 10 items and then some details here. So let's go ahead and put those on here real quick. So I'm going to do one more chart, and I'm going to drag this chart down beneath this one. And then here on my amount, again, I'm going to use orders for my value, and I'm going to use item name for my argument. Every single item comes in by default. I'm going to change that to be top N, and I'm going to say, show me the top 10 here. Apply that. Okay, and then same type of thing, I can make this look a lot nicer just by going in, removing the legend here, going to my axis here, removing the grid lines, scaling it maybe, and then popping in here and putting point labels on here like so. Okay, and that's just the format that I like personally, you all. I mean, obviously you can do whatever you'd like to do. Let's add some grid data on here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and supply a grid here, and I'm going to put my customer name, my item name, maybe my order date, and then the quantity they ordered. And now I have details. So I can right click here and I can say, let's call this sales detail, like so. And then you'll also notice that on the original here, I also have these little cards here that you can click on. And you can even drill down into these cards like I showed you and kind of see the sales rep for each branch plant. So let's do that as well. So I'm going to add some cards, and I'm going to drag the cards over to the left-hand side. And my series, in this particular case, I'm going to start off with branch plant name. And then quantity ordered is the actual value. And then my forecasted value would be my target. And you can see it does the math for me automatically. And then you'll also notice here that if I want to add this little spark line here, so I've got some kind of artwork on that card as well to make it look a little nicer, I can go ahead and put the order date on here like so, and I'm going to do that by month. And so now I've got my cards kind of showing me, you know, how we're doing month to month, you know, kind of. And then if I want to turn that into a drill down, I can supply the salesman now, and I'm going to tell it right here in my data that that is a drill down. And so now when I drill down here, it shows me my sales reps. Okay. I can also, at this point in time, add some interactivity to my dashboard here so that when I click on Eastern Distribution, this stuff will change over here. So let's do that. So if I click on my card deck here, I've got a choice. I can make something a single master filter. If I make it a single filter, it forces me to choose at least one card or only one card. If I make it a multiple master filter, now I can choose no cards or more than one card like so. Okay. If I want to add some interactivity to the state maps, I can make the state map a master filter as well. And if I click on Texas, I can see I've got 3 different distribution centers hitting Texas here, and you kind of get the idea. So I've got all of this kind of built in here, and let's just say orders by like so. Okay, this is the coolest part of the technology from my perspective, you all, is you know, not only am I putting multiple, you know, questions onto one design surface here, which is really cool in my opinion. The next thing that is just amazing to me is that if I go ahead and name this now, and I'll call this Allen's DB, okay, and click OK. So I'm saving the dashboard, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the little publish button right here. When I hit this publish button, it's going to do a whole lot for us. So you can have, you know, a big, large global conglomerate may have, and I realize I've got like 6 minutes here left, so I'll hurry. A big conglomerate may have multiple portals. You may have one in China, one in Australia, one in the US. And then you may be able to publish data to all of them. You can also refresh this data automatically every 12 hours or every 2 weeks or whatever you want to do. And then Laurel asked me about users. All of these users are just users that are in the actual, kept in the actual Mobi portal. And then when I publish this thing, what I'm actually doing here is I'm building the table in the data warehouse. I'm indexing the table in the data warehouse to make it work specific to that dashboard. And I'm also making this mobile, all with one click. that's the type of thing that IT notoriously has to do all the time, and this thing does it for you with one click. And I love that it automates all of the data warehouse automatically. And again, all of our interactivity now works. And then if you want to embed this directly into JD Edwards, you can do that. So let me just show that off real quick, and then I'll take questions. So when you log into JDE, I've got an E1 page kind of built where this thing's already kind of put directly into the E1 page. If it will log me in. Sorry, you all, I'm having some network slowness today. So, so this is our internal JD Edwards application right here. This is an E1 page, and you can kind of see the dashboard pops up right there inside of the E1 page. And then if I want to like make it work with Cafe One, I can also do that. So if I go to sales order processing and I go to sales order detail here, I'm going to bring up a page where I'm actually using Cafe One, and I've got a dashboard loading right here. And if I go over here and I type in like 4245, and I hit the find button here, you're going to notice that the dashboard over here changes to be, you know, specific to that customer. And then all of that drill down in here that we built in here would continue to work. In this particular example, I didn't put any drill down into that, but it kind of gives you an idea of what's possible. So let's open it up for questions, Laurel. I think I'm going to end there today. I kind of ran out of time. I apologize. Anyway, I hope that everybody kind of gets a feel for what this thing can do from an ad hoc perspective. And I showed about maybe 20% of the product today. I mean, it does so much. Any questions about anything that you saw or anything that you would like to see?
Hey, Alan. Yeah, we've got a couple of other questions that have come in. One is, can you limit the list of objects you see on your search?
Absolutely. So any of these reports, you know, just like you would have with JD Edwards, you know, you can key in Texas here, for example, and only see Texas. So you have the full ability that you would have in any QBE line instead of JD Edwards, plus much more. I mean, you're going to have ranges available to you. You're going to have not in list. You can say in list. Whatever you can dream up. Absolutely. There's even more things you can do from a technical perspective to make things even faster. But yes.
Okay, great. And one last question. Can reports now be used with JDE version 8.12?
Yes, yes it can. So we support all versions of JD Edwards, whether you're on World or E1, it doesn't matter to us. I've got customers using Moby in both environments, and I've got customers using DAS in both environments.
Okay, perfect. Well, that, unless anyone has any other questions, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today, and thank Alan. That was great.
Yeah, and I just want to say, listen, I know that everybody has only so much time in the week. We're all busy people. Thank you so much for the time today. We really appreciate that. If I can answer any questions offline, I'll be happy to. And again, I'll just throw up Steve and I's contact information real quick, and I'll leave that up until you guys pop off the line. So thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Alan.
All right. Take care.